No comment.
This is going to be a long event.
Okay, friends, we are going live. So.
All right, here we go.
Awesome.
Okay. So, like I said, there's a 20-second delay, so things are starting to move. Here we go.
Left.
All right. We are live, friends. We are live on Facebook.
Woohoo!
All right. Yay! Okay, we'll wait a few minutes to let people join us. Oh, Michael Kennedy has already joined us.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hi, Michael.
What's up?
Yeah.
Kennedy, where are you at?
Yeah. Oh, gotta turn my sound down. Turn my sound down. Okay.
Michael, what is on your head?
It looks like an electric chair.
Can you say it there on Facebook Live? Electric. Well, I mean, I guess it's not weird, right? Using the electric chair.
Where are the participants? Where
No. Oh my goodness.
Hey, Gloria.
Have you ever seen what was that like Inspector Gadget, that old cartoon where it was just like a person and it, like the evil guy was just like Dr. Claw or whatever.
Dr. Claw?
It was just a dude in a chair, like that you never saw his face. Like that's exactly what Michael is right now. He's Dr. Claw.
That's why I
Dr.
love
Claw.
myself right there. Just it's colorful.
That it is. Okay, we are at 8:05, so I'm gonna get this thing started. Hello, welcome to Backstage Banter with 4 members of our bass section. My name is Emily Briebach. I play English horn. I'll be moderating the comments today. So please feel free in the comment section below to ask any questions of our lovely bass section. We are joined tonight by Joe McFadden, Gloria Allgood, Carl Fenner, and
Hello.
Oh no.
Michael Kurth.
Oh my God! What is that thing?
Oh.
What's going on?
That kazoo's at the Christmas party, but this is
Can everybody on the
man.
Facebook Live see everybody? No, you should definitely leave that on. You should definitely leave that on. That is a really good one.
Michael, put it back on now.
Yeah.
I can't breathe with it on. It's a little too stifling here.
Is
You
that
had that thing on
Should
for a
have thought it
while.
out better.
Is that the mask that you wear like to the grocery store and things like that? You know?
It's
Yes.
a plague doctor mask from the Middle Ages.
oh
There we
Lord.
Like they would put herbs in the beak and stuff, and they thought they
That
couldn't.
thing is super hot.
Yeah.
I think on that note, cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Raising a drink. I am in honor of one of the many things I miss about normal times at work. I'm drinking bourbon. We have a group of us who meet backstage after many concerts and have a drink of bourbon while we wait for the parking garage to clear out. I've missed that dearly with my dear friends. All of these lovely people are members of the Backstage Bourbon
I
Society.
never knew that was the purpose of the bourbon, but that's a good reason.
No,
It's also just something nice to have. But I've been drinking bourbon in honor of that.
Term. I think we coined that term, the Backstage Bourbon Society, years and years and years ago when we wrote. I think we got our old personnel manager, Russell, a birthday card or something like that, didn't we? And we all chipped in and got him like, sushi, like a sushi gift certificate at like his favorite place, and we signed it, sincerely, the Backstage Bourbon Society, basically as a thank you for putting up with us backstage after all of these years.
We burned
Right.
the
It's like, right, it's them and the stage crew and the cleaning crew who we need to thank.
Everybody.
I think the real origin of the whole thing was Doug Summer, who hated to go out after a concert. It was you, Joe. Okay.
Me and Doug started it because I went and my first year in the orchestra, I went and played in LA for a week, and they all drank scotch and tequila and stuff like that backstage after concerts. Like, you know what? Like, and they would all just like have like the camaraderie was super fun, like, and everybody was like talking and hanging out, just talking about the concert and blah blah blah. It's just like, we need to do this. And so I talked to Doug, and sure,
Doug would bring ice. I remember he brought ice for a while.
Yes, he would.
Yeah.
There's the
There was
ice bucket
somewhere
that he
in the
kept.
art center he could get ice. He found
They-
a place you could get ice. Where was that?
Joel Dallow he bought the ice bucket.
Yes.
He brought
Um,
the ice bucket.
the tradition has carried over to several other orchestras. National Symphony does it. Just at their lockers really quick though. But the really fun one is Kansas City.
Oh.
They drink bourbon out of rosin cups.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's really nasty.
Hey, actually, they they have their own personalized glasses, not as nice as the ones I got for all of you,
Yes.
No.
but I decided to get some for them too because I was kind of feeling the holiday spirit or whatever, and I heard that they drank out of rosin cups, and I thought that was unacceptable.
Yeah.
Certainly unsanitary in this age of COVID. So.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the rosin or the tree sap or something like that adds a little flavor to the little natural musk.
Nice.
This time of year you can get pumpkin spice rosin, so that goes nice with a lot of things.
That doesn't sound bad. I would drink that.
I think
It
rosin
sounds
is for the
kind of
bow
awful.
only.
Can you hear the dog? Is he gonna drive you guys nuts? Can you hear him? Okay, he's like
If
chewing.
you want to,
Well, he's
bring him on
aggressively
camera,
chewing on one
everybody
of his
loves it.
bones, and throwing it all over the floor on purpose to make a ruckus because he knows I'm not
Hey
thinking.
Joe,
Yes.
Joe, we need to set up a Zoom between Dodger and Lulu.
I don't know if they would have much to say. They do all their talking through very rough, aggressive play.
Yeah.
Well, we got a
So-
dog. We got a dog yesterday, a corgi. Oh my gosh, he's Cooper. He's so adorable.
His name
Great.
is what?
Oh,
Cooper. He's adorable. He really is.
His
He's a
name's
year and a half old.
oh, that's awesome.
Cooper.
A year and a half.
Year and a half. Yeah. So he's potty trained and obeys orders somewhat.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got this cool toy that has a treat in it that they're supposed to be like mentally stimulated to get the treat out. And I thought that would take a while. Oh no. This dog got that treat out of there in probably 30 seconds and continued to eat it. He ate the whole thing.
I mean, he ate the toy itself.
We didn't eat the toy, thank God. The toy's intact, but the treat is gone.
Yeah.
All signs of it.
I used to
Joe-
have a post for Dodger. He would eat the toy.
Oh,
Joe, going back to the previous conversation, I just want to commend you. You do a great job as principal, really enforcing the discipline that we all stay potty trained. Your section. It's been a real like milestone for me.
We-
welcome.
I just want to say that in the comments we have several people who are requesting that dogs show up during this event. So if you want to bring Dodger,
Well, he's on the floor. I can move the computer. Like
Yeah.
and I'm still in the process of having my house renovated. So he's currently chewing next to a bunch of paint canisters, as you can see right here.
oh, what could go wrong here?
Yeah, exactly.
Dodger.
Roger. Yeah, say hi to the world.
Aw.
He's not interested. Okay, go back to work. Oh, now you're looking at me. Yeah.
We have Sarah Park Chastain has logged on and says, "Yo, bases."
Hey, don't Sparky.
What's up?
Yeah.
how many people are logged on?
Right now we have 27 people watching us.
Oh.
We have a whole bunch of people coming
famous
through.
all-
So, what's that?
I feel famous all of a sudden.
Oh, absolutely. We're
Whole 20
utterly
people.
famous. Hey, those are 20 important people.
That's right.
I didn't say they weren't. Like they're all gonna log off. Now there's like one.
So I wanna talk a little bit about what it's like being back at work now that we've had a couple of weeks under our belts. We've had one subscription concert that we've recorded and that is aired. We just finished recording our second subscription concert. So how has it been for you guys with all the distance and the masks and the this and that, but also playing music with other humans? Joe, why don't we start with you?
Extremely stressful. It's very, very
Tell us
stressful.
why.
It's stressful because, well, since it's all recording only is what we're doing. Like none of it is, obviously we're not playing for audiences. So, and we only get 2 cracks at it, to get the best take we can possibly get. We only get to do it twice, and then basically like we are forced to move on. So it's really, like you don't get a chance to, oh, I messed up that part. Can we go back and do that again like you would in like a normal recording session? Like these are 100% like live concerts. And so if you screw something up in that first run through, you only get one more chance. And so like then it's like, like just the mounting pressure is just it's a lot. And you just really hope the camera isn't going to be right on you when you made that heinous mistake or something like that, you know. And being like and being a string player, you know, like it's really like if it's really obvious to tell who's making the mistake, because you know it's so like it's physically, your hand obviously should not be moving across the string if you're not supposed to be playing, you know. So if you play in a rest or step in a hole, you know, like we call it, it's going to be really obvious it's you. Really obvious.
Especially with the
it's
close-ups.
out there on the internet forever, you know. So definitely you don't. That's not. I don't need that on my track. Anybody else?
Yeah. Gloria, how about you? How's it been for you being
Well,
back at work?
it's good to see people, but you can't really get real close to people, and that's kind of weird. Like I'm waving at people across the stage, and we're not supposed to. We have no bulletin boards right now with anything posted so that we don't gather in groups, and we can come in one door only, and that's the front of the auditorium door, to get our temperature taken, and we fill out these forms swearing to our life that we have not been in contact with someone with this disease. So, you know, there's just all these rules. Like some of our emails are 3 pages printed out with all these rules that we go through. And I mean, I'm glad that our management is concerned, because I have a friend of mine who is in an office up in Philadelphia, and they're not concerned. I mean, they don't observe any of these really tight regulations, and ours is just the opposite. So hopefully one day we can all find a middle road to stay healthy and get vaccinated. And but I know that I agree with Joe. I think all of us feel like soloists. I feel like I'm not sitting next to Joe. I usually am 2 feet from him, turning his pages. We all have to turn our own pages. That's a problem. It's hard. It's just really hard. It's hot. I feel like the mask makes me sweat. It's more than usual, and that makes me upset. I feel like I would just want to rip the darn thing off and play, you know. So, but I'm glad they're observing all of the regulations, and I'm so glad to see our colleagues and hear. I tell you, really, the orchestra sounds amazing considering we are sitting so far apart. I don't know how we all do it. I think it's a mental telepathy, frankly, especially from the back of the orchestra. I think it would be very frustrating.
Yeah, for sure.
That's about
Michael,
all.
Michael, how about you? How's it been for you?
I'm not back yet.
Oh, really? You haven't played?
No, this seemed like a really good time for me to take a couple weeks and do this composers retreat that I was invited to. So I'm here for another week, and then I'll come back, and then there's like an off week, and then my first service back is the David Bowie thing on the 25th, I think.
Oh, okay. So you're just hearing about all of this. You haven't actually experienced it yet.
Yeah.
And that's outdoors. That's outdoors, which is a different ballgame. We did an opera concert outdoors. It was Daniel Tosky and I played that, and it was really nice because the audience clapped. That's the other thing. We're not hearing any applause. You know, we finish our big finish and nothing happened. So I think that's a little bit frustrating. It was nice.
I was kind of at that one because they needed IE to reorchestrated. So like. I participated in the concert without actually being there. And like when COVID happened, commissions dried up. Like nobody's hiring composers for anything anymore. And I thought, well, you know, there goes that. But as it turns out, now that orchestras are working again with smaller orchestras, Evan from upstairs keeps asking me, "Can you do this? Can you do that?"
Uh-oh, he froze.
Yeah. Oh.
This is a very flattering face for you to be frozen.
Well, I will move on to Carl then while we wait for Michael to unfreeze us. Carl, how's it been being back at work for you?
I mean, overall, great. Just since I've missed it so much, to go that long, and the only notes that I play are just my own individual practicing. I don't think I've gone that long without playing with someone since like before I started an instrument. So it's been really great just to be back on stage with others and making music again that like that. Um, it is a lot more challenging the way that we're doing it, though. Um, I've just been telling myself that it'll it'll make us much better ensemble players because when we can finally be close again, then
Yeah, that's true.
things are going to probably, I hope, like lock in like they never have before.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an adjustment.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, we have one question in the comments section from Carol Nemi, who asks, "Why did each of you pick the bass as opposed to the cello or another stringed instrument?" Um, Joe, why did you pick the bass?
My mom's a bass player, but she played
You
bass
have the coolest
guitar.
mom.
I do have the coolest mom. She's still actually she's in a band right now, but she's not the bass player anymore. She's the front man. She's the singer, out there
Good.
just singing in
That's
the band.
awesome.
But her and my dad, who's a guitar player and a singer, um, they used to play in bands together. That's how they met. And so um, there was always, you know, a full drum set, guitars, amplifiers, electric bass set up in the living room all the time. And I just kind of, was drawn to the bass because my mom played it. So, and that's just kind of what I, started on. She taught me how to play like a bunch of like Nirvana songs and stuff like that when I was like 8 or something like that. And then we moved away from the city, more out towards the burbs, and they were offering lessons in string instruments. And so, and bass was one of the options. And I figured, like, well, I already play bass guitar. How much more difficult could, double bass be? Exponentially more difficult is the answer. Like, we're not even talking like twice as difficult. We're talking like, one is like typing at a keyboard and the other is like
Right.
painting the Mona Lisa or something like that, so it's much more difficult. I learned very early on, but that's how I started playing.
When did you start acoustic or like classical bass lessons? How old were you?
Well, I started playing in I guess I had the instrument in my hand before I was getting private lessons. They just basically were like, um, you know, it was like a class kind of type thing. Like, they were beginning by, I remember like, I think I was in 5th grade. And so I was 10 and it's like, there were violins who were just learning how to hold the instrument, cellists who were just learning how to hold the instrument. And I was the one bass player. They only had one bass and it was like a lottery and I ended up getting it, so who knows if I hadn't got it, like, who knows what I would be doing now.
Did you have hair then, Joe?
Yes. So how do you come back from that? Let's see. So I um yeah, I mean, I just started playing like, and I started taking lessons. I think 2 years after that, when I was
Yeah.
12. I think I started, thinking like, oh, I'd like to keep
Nice.
doing this and get more serious about it. So I was 12 when I started taking lessons.
Good. Gloria, how about you? How old were you when you started playing the bass, and why did you
Okay,
choose
so
it as
first
opposed
of
to a
all, I
stringed
had
instrument?
two really great musicians for parents. My father had a doctorate in piano, and my mother was
Oh
one
wow.
of his students in college. And we lived in Boston while he was getting his doctorate. And I was literally playing on the lawn of Tanglewood, listening to the Boston Symphony in the background. Just hearing them. And my father was always playing great music. I could sing Prokofiev Fifth when I was 4 years old. I mean, I just was always exposed to it. And
Oh
so
wow.
when school offered the string program, I had been already playing piano. I made the mistake of playing something by ear that my brother was playing in piano lessons. And so my mother was like, 5 years of lessons. She's got to have 5 years. So I was kind of sentenced to 5 years of piano. And so at age 9, that was at 7. And then at 9, I wanted to play violin so bad. I begged and begged and begged. And I finally got to play violin in the school program. And I was good, but I wasn't great. I mean, I never really made much progress. I got to this one concerto with my teacher, who was my public school teacher, and he kept me on this stupid Vivaldi A minor concerto for a year. I was sick of it. And so at one day I walked in, I said, "Mr. Thomas, can I play cello? Please let me play cello." So he goes, "Well, we really need a bass player, and you already read bass clef and you have, the string knowledge of violin. Just play bass." And he puts me in the back of the room and He's like, the strings are tuned in fourths, not fifths, and you use 1, 2, and 4, and this is a G. It's right here, and here's our piece. And he just put me in the back of the room and kind of expected me to come in and play bass every day. And I got so strong after a while on my hands, I couldn't play violin very well. So I had an agreement with my parents. I would finish out the year on violin and play for the PTA program, the Vivaldi A minor concerto. And then I got to switch to bass. So I was very happy. So I played bass since age 12. And I actually,
Nice.
during the pandemic, learned how to play cello briefly. I rented a cello and fulfilled my kind of lifelong desire to learn cello. And it was so much fun playing Bach cello suites on the cello. I studied with Tommy Carpenter, who's also in the ASO in our
So
cello.
fun.
We had a great time. So I returned it though. I
Oh,
thought,
that's
you know
good.
what? I just need to practice my bass.
It takes up enough time.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Michael, how about you? When did you start playing the bass and how did you choose to play that?
At the end of third grade, they showed us films. Remember film strips? You're probably too young, but old-fashioned film strips of orchestra instruments that we could pick, like string instruments that we could pick the next year. And the one of the bass was like this. It was like this bass with a face, and it was playing on itself, like with arms. Kind of. I thought that's pretty cool. I think I'll choose that one. There was a bass at the school, and the girl who played it last was leaving to go to middle school, and I was tall, and so I said I'll play that, and they said okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
That works. It's so often how that happens. Like you just sort of fall into an instrument, like you were saying, like, like there was like someone's like, oh, maybe bass instead of cello, or oh, like you already play electric bass, just play, and then or you're tall. Like it's really funny how that happens. Carl, how about you? How did you choose playing the bass?
Well, I started playing the bass when I was 11 in sixth grade, and that came from a seed that was planted many years before. Apparently, my parents say that the first thing that I ever said that I wanted to be when I grew up, when I was like 3 or something, is apparently I wanted to be a piano man. And so, I wanted to play an instrument for a long time. And so I started taking piano lessons when I was 9. And how I decided to take on the bass in junior high and also trombone is, I don't think that anyone even in my family knows this, but maybe when I was about 10 years old, um, I found out this girl that was friends of the family sort of, and she was telling me that she played 4 instruments, and I remember thinking that, like, you know, who the hell am I? I only play one instrument. Like, what's wrong with me? You know, like, I really felt threatened. Like, oh my gosh, she plays 4 instruments. So, I went to a junior high with the performing arts concentration, and if you were accepted into the magnet program, you could have 2 electives, which meant I could be in the band and the orchestra. So then, along with piano, I would know how to play 3 instruments. And I thought to myself, well, I mean, it's not 4, but maybe 4 is overkill. And, a couple, yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of people who can play like piano and guitar or whatever. So I thought like 3 was the perfect number of instruments to be able to play. But I picked the bass specifically, basically because no one else wanted to. I mean, I immediately didn't want to play violin or cello because that's what everyone wanted to do. So I thought, okay, maybe viola. That looks kind of interesting. It's a little different, or the bass. And then nobody else wanted to play the bass, so I actually thought it was really cool that I was the only bass player in the beginning orchestra. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's
That's,
that's that.
Cool,
I, f-
man.
I'd forgotten that you'd played trombone too. I remember hearing you say that now it's like ringing a bell that you weren't sure whether you're going to go and major in bass or trombone
Yeah,
until
that's
after
right.
your college auditions, right?
Yeah. Um, I was also, fortunate enough to go to a high school where I could be in band and orchestra, to a performing arts high school, and so I kept I kind of dropped piano, and then I just kept bass and trombone, and I just did my best at trying to be as good as I could, um, at both instruments, and would make all region orchestra on the bass and all region band on the trombone and that kind of thing. And I knew that I wanted to have a career in an orchestra. That's what I wanted to do since I was it was probably halfway through my freshman year in high school when I knew I wanted to do that. And it took maybe about another year and a half to realize that if I was going to succeed at that, I was going to have to drop one of the instruments. Um, so the best advice anyone gave me was actually my trombone teacher in high school. His name was Mark Johnson, and he was principal trombonist in the Houston Ballet Orchestra. And he said, you know, do the best you can on each and take a few college auditions for each and just see how it falls. And so that's what I did. And after that whole process was over, um, it was just very clear to me that I should go to the Cleveland Institute of Music and focus on the bass. So it wasn't until the the summer before my freshman year in college that I was, you know, completely honed in on the bass being, my future. It could have gone differently if things had fallen differently.
Yeah, you got into Michigan on trombone, didn't you?
I I was I I was alternate,
Still,
and
I mean that's really impressive to apply
That's a win.
competitively on
Yeah.
two different instruments for music schools. Like
You should play
that's pretty
both at
incredible.
the same time, Carl. That would be very unique. That'd be
I didn't I didn't get into Northwestern on trombone, and that was that's an incredibly competitive school to get into on that instrument. Um,
Yeah.
it was my very first audition that I took, and I wasn't able to go and do the audition live, which has an effect, I think, and it you know it wasn't a very good audition. I didn't play that well. Um,
But you wouldn't be in the ASO if you had played well, so I'm kind of
if
glad.
if I had, but I think honestly, if I had gotten into Northwestern on trombone, I would have done that. Um,
Yeah.
and I would have been a trombone player instead. That
That's
didn't
so
happen.
crazy.
That didn't happen, and so then it was Michigan or Cleveland, and things just fell into place the way they did. For the Michigan audition, I also, I didn't do it live. I did it in Houston. It was I went to wherever the location was, and someone, recorded it on a digital recorder. Uh, um, and so, like, I felt, really accomplished that
Yeah,
under
absolutely.
those circumstances, I was an alternate to the trombone studio there. But had that happened and I'd gotten in, I might have still, I don't know. I think I still would have picked the bass, but it's just just funny how that all happened. And I didn't even plan on auditioning for the Cleveland Institute because you know someone I'd wanted to study with for a long time was who I ended out studying with, Max Dimoff, the principal in Cleveland. And I saw him play a recital when I was 15 at the International Society of Bassists convention. And from hearing him play, I just ever since then I wanted to study with him, but he didn't teach anywhere. He hadn't been in the Cleveland Orchestra that long. So I found out that he was going to be heading the bass department. And the application deadline had already passed and everything, but they really needed bass players. And it turns out that my high school teacher at that time, Dennis Whitaker, he had gone to school with Max Dimoff. And so he gave him a call and put me in contact with him. And everything just sort of fell into place in a way that I never would have expected and couldn't have planned for at all. And I got to fly up there and take the audition live and see the school and meet my teacher Max, and then it just everything happened in the best way that they could, and it's not the way that I had planned or tried. It was just like the universe was like, your plans that you have for yourself suck, and I'm going to drop this right in front of you. And so,
well, there you go. That sounds like a really great way to sort of, find yourself on your path in life. That's a really great story. We have a couple of people in the comments who are saying that they have similar stories. They didn't quite know what they were going to do until they finished high school. And so, I mean, I guess that goes, if anyone is out there watching is in the same boat, just keep working at what you're doing and, and all of the things, and see where life takes you. So I was thinking earlier, because Gloria, you said that when you were 4 years old that you could sing Prokofiev 5. And I was just thinking about the last time we played Prokofiev 5. I love that symphony so much. So we've played it, I think, twice since I've been here. I've been here, oh gosh, this is my ninth season. So when things get back to normal, what's the one piece you really, really hope that you'll get to play with the ASO? So this is just like, in case Evans, our artistic administrator, is watching, what do you want Evans to program for us? Joe, why don't we start with you?
Actually, I think that I talked to Robert about this like a week or two ago. I think we might actually end up playing during this live stream time that we're doing one of the pieces I love to death, which is Dunbar and Oaks by Stravinsky.
Oh, great.
Which is for only 13 players, I think is what the count is, or something like that. But it's like 3 violins, 3 violas, 2 cellos, 2 basses, like I think 2 horns and like a couple winds. Like, it's really incredible music. I've only played it once, and it's like,
yeah, it is
impossibly difficult. It is extremely hard, but when you listen to it, it's one of the coolest pieces in the world. So that one I'm looking forward to. We were supposed to do, before the world, went to, hell in a handbasket. We were supposed to be doing Mahler 3 this year. So I really look forward to playing that again, because that is my favorite Mahler symphony. So I look forward to playing that. I mean, there's like, the list goes on and on. There's so many things. Like, I mean, let's see what else. Like, I think we were supposed to do like some big Shostakovich, like Baba Yar, I think, or something like that. Like the Shostakovich 13, I think, was scheduled for next year, maybe. Michael could correct me on that. Yes,
our season got announced like in the middle of the pandemic, so it didn't get into my brain what we were supposed to.
Right, it was like, I was really looking forward to doing Mahler 4, because that is one of my other favorite Mahler symphonies too. Like, I love Mahler.
There's a chamber version of that. Evans, there's a chamber version of Mahler 4. Can we do that?
I mean, that would be sick. That would be super rad. It's like, but the real version of Mahler 4 is like, that's you know, that's money in the bank. That's like,
It is.
he doesn't get much better than that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
what else? Like, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, like, I'm looking forward to doing like, you know, just not even just as soon as we get back, but just like, you know, my favorite pieces all the time. Even if the pandemic hadn't happened, I'm still looking forward to every time I get to play something, you know, like Mozart 40 or something like that. You know, that's like one of my favorite pieces in the world to play. It's like Mozart 40,
Yeah.
you know, Mozart 39, any of the Mozart symphonies, any of the Stravinsky kind of neoclassical stuff, like Symphony of
Yes.
you know, anything John
Pulcinella.
anything John Adams, you know, like all that stuff is my, you know, my like the classical era and like neoclassical era, you know, plus like John Adams and Bach and stuff like that. Like that's what I always look forward to playing, whether it's post pandemic, in the pandemic, before the pandemic, like whatever. Like my taste, you know.
Yeah. Michael, how about you? What are you looking forward to playing once things get back to normal? Or what do you want? What do you want Evans to to program
I'm
during
I'm
the
looking forward to
pandemic?
playing anything that's on the schedule. Honestly, like just to be with my colleagues and my friends again, and be able to sit close together and make any kind of music that we, you know, that's whatever's on the stand. Honestly,
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
easy.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. I mean, it's been really nice to have actually music on the stand, like you said, like to have weekly projects, to have something to keep you going.
Yeah.
Gloria, how about you? What are you looking forward to playing?
I miss the chorus really
Oh my
bad.
gosh,
Yes.
yeah,
Um,
yes.
I think that probably is
Yes,
the
of
biggest
course.
hole in my heart right now. And made the mistake of walking one day and listened to Sibelius actually and burst into tears. I love
Oh
Sibelius. I know that's not a popular answer.
no, you
I
love what you
really,
love. That's
I
fine.
really think our Sibelius 6 and 7 is just one of the best recordings we've ever made. And I love that recording. And I was listening to it by mistake. It came on my playlist. And I was just so brokenhearted. I just remember also feeling this way when I had, we were on strike back in 93, I guess, and or 96. And we were on strike for 10 weeks. And I pulled into our driveway, and the Saint-Saëns organ symphony was playing. And it's this gorgeous, beautiful moment that occurs after all this fast playing goes by. And it is so meditative and absolutely beautiful. And man, that was another time I just thought, man, what I'd give to be on stage playing that piece. So for
Yeah,
me, sometimes it's what I'm listening to that I want to play again. It has nothing to do with my favorite music, which is probably Mahler. Actually, I love Mahler. Every time we do Mahler, I get so excited. And Strauss, I love Strauss. I like the big romantic composers, Wagner. So anyway, yeah, but I would say the chorus is really missing in my life, and I feel bad for those people. I think they're just really very sad, and they can't get together. It's so
I
frustrating.
know.
We are known for that. We're known for our chorus, so it's been frustrating for me.
Yeah, we're not only known for that, but it's such a huge part of our schedule. Like every year we have, this long list of things that we're going to play with the chorus over the course of the season. And yeah, and it's a very weird thing to not have them back there. We have Brienne Turgeon in the comments, who's a member of the chorus, who says that we miss you and we miss you too, Brienne. Carl, how about you? What are you looking forward to playing?
I've thought about this a lot, and I want to play Mahler more than anything. Specifically, symphonies 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7.
All at once.
Just those.
Yeah,
Program.
What list?
I
Just have a 12-hour long concert.
I mean,
Start practicing.
separately or back to back to back, I don't care as long as I get some Mahler in my life.
Weren't we supposed to do Mahler 2 this season? Were we supposed to do that?
The third, I think, was
Three.
the three was
Three. Yeah.
Oh, it was just 3. The last time we did 2, I think, was in 2015. And I feel like I've played Mahler 2 so many times, but I guess it hasn't been that recent since we've done it here. But that one always for me, like it's like you get to when the chorus, when the chorus comes in the last movement, and it's just like so quiet, and the basses have that like wonderful bass sounds, like the bass singer, well, the bass section too, of course. I can't But the bass singers have that like beautiful, like just love. It's wonderful.
Well,
I love
Yoel
it.
Levy, we did that at Lincoln Center, and he had us the chorus cover their mouths when they came in the quiet part, and it was eerie. It was kind of like that scene from 2001: A Space Odyssey when they're coming up on that black monolith. It kind of sounded like that.
Oh wow, yeah.
All just kind of you just couldn't really tell where the sound was coming from. It was very effective, and they of course joked about it to no end. Like we're smelling all at the same time. But it was really effective, and that was one of the most thrilling Mahler twos I can even imagine. I cannot even imagine a more exciting thing. And after that, I'm not sure about this. Did we go to Europe right after that, Michael? Was that?
This was before I was here.
Oh, okay. Because there was one tour we took right after we had played in New York, and we went straight from New York to Europe, and it was so exciting. So yeah,
That's
I just remember
fantastic.
packing up like years. It was great. So excited.
Are you getting a
We
refill?
have a No, I already got a refill. I'm trying to prop my phone up so I can see everything. I'm just propping it up on the bourbon bottle. We have a couple of people in the comments. I'm trying to be a professional here, okay? Um, a couple of people in the comments who are asking about what we did during quarantine. We had somebody, Jonathan Wright, asked if we had any hobbies that we picked up during quarantine. Gloria, you've already said that you picked up the cello. And then Angela Leeper, who I think was one of Gloria's students, a TDP-based student, is that right?
TDP.
Angela said, "Have you guys been binging?" Yeah, she asked if we've been binging any Netflix shows. I've been watching a lot of the Great British Baking Show. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but
I'm gonna start.
Gloria, why don't we start with you?
Oh my goodness. Well, we started Schitt's Creek. It's very funny. It's really hilarious.
Yeah.
And kind of silly, but very very funny. And what else have we been watching? Bill's sitting kind of near me, so I don't know if we've binge watched much of anything, but well, the Schitt's Creek it comes to mind to me because we're still doing it.
Yeah.
But we watched.
Well, I know they just released new episodes too. So.
Oh my god!
not that I've spent a lot of time on Netflix recently.
One thing my daughter and I watched, we watched the whole thing, The Orange is the New Black, and I had not seen the last season, so we did the last season of that, and it's an incredible show. And then we watched just recently Challenger, the final liftoff, which was about the Challenger shuttle flight with the teacher that was on it, Krista McCall. And that was in '86. And, of course, my daughter was completely oblivious to some of this history. And my son, too, as he was born in '93 and she was born in 2004. But the cool, interesting thing about the Challenger is that we were on tour in Florida. I'd been in the orchestra 2 years, and we were in Florida doing one of our famous Florida tours that bounced back and forth down to Miami. And they had delayed this flight a lot because there was ice on the actual Challenger. And so it didn't take off until close to noon. And our bus didn't leave the hotel till noon. Well, I'm sitting on the bus waiting for Ralph, who I was our principal bass player, who I was married to for a long time. And, so I'm waiting, and we were about to leave. And I told him, I said, wait, Ralph's not on the bus. And he comes running out of the hotel, white as a sheet. You guys, the Challenger just exploded. Oh. And we could see the plume. We were in Florida when this happened, and we could see it. And it was shocking. I mean, everybody was just silent. Nobody knew what to do, and the internet didn't exist, so we couldn't get on our phones or anything in those days. And so we got to the next hotel. Everybody was glued to their televisions, and we dedicated the concert that night to the Challenger astronauts, and it was really a horrible situation. I was amazed we didn't cancel the concert, to be honest. It was as big as 9/11 in Florida. It was it's ridiculous. But we did watch that series, and it's really well done. I loved it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Joe, how about you? Have you been watching anything? Have you been binge watching anything?
No, I'm not really much of a TV person. I'm sorry to disappoint. I don't watch, I watch The Office, usually before I go to bed or something like that. I did recently get through some more of Ozark on Netflix, but I've been kind of picking away at that for years off and on.
Well, how about quarantine hobbies? I know that you've been doing a lot of biking.
I definitely ride my bike a lot during quarantine. riding.
What are some of your favorite bike rides, favorite paths that you've taken, favorite routes you've done?
Some of I do a lot of like what people would call like gravel cycling and stuff like that. So like some of my favorite stuff is like way out in like these like forests, that are out in the middle of like, some of them are like wildlife management like places, like way out in like Juliet, Georgia, or there's one in Missoula, Georgia. I do a lot. Like there's they're all like an hour, maybe an hour and a half away. And we had like the most incredible spring this year ever, that we just had like the most beautiful temperatures all the way until like even in like early June. It was just like, this is like the most perfect weather. So me and a bunch of dudes from the orchestra, like Tommy Carpenter, who's a cellist, Brad Ritchie, who's a cellist, like Alcides Rodriguez, who's a cellist. I'm a clarinet player. Yeah, sorry. So the four of us, we would go ride a lot. Like Brad's brother was here, who also rides. So we all just go out there and just like get lost, in the forest, like for hours and hours on end, like just with like basically with no cell phone service. There's like deer and wildlife and snakes slithering across the paths everywhere you go. Like it's pretty, it gets a little scary at times when you're out there and you especially when you're doing a new route that's like 30 or 40 miles and you have no idea where you're going, and you're just hoping that the directions you jotted down online are accurate.
Right.
It's
Dun, 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 dun.
but it's super cool. Like I've been doing a lot of that. I've definitely perfected some good cooking during.
Oh, like what? Do tell.
I've definitely.
Michael's pulling out a banjo. Here we go.
My fault. Sorry, my fault.
I think that my guacamole and steak recipes have gotten really, really on point. Like, and then I started getting really gluttonous and like cooking like a top sirloin with like a Korean barbecue marinade all over it.
Oh, that sounds great.
And then combining forces and putting a thick layer of that guacamole on top of this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty great. Well, you've always been a steak guy, though. I remember stories from when I first met you, when I first got here. Like you would just like cook a steak on a cast iron pan on your stove, and then like eat it over the stove.
Well, that is true. Like, yes, I definitely love my red meat, even though there are times where like I change my diet a lot, where it's like, you know what, like sometimes I think that like, maybe being a vegetarian wouldn't be a bad idea. So I try to wean myself off of meat by like just cutting out mammals a lot of times, where it's like I'm just eating like chicken and fish. It's like, but anything that is closely related to the dog, I try not to eat essentially. Is that weird? I don't think
Speaking of the dog, I think that's Meenam down there here.
Yeah, so, Meenam agrees. It's like, yeah, no more mammals. But lately, yeah, there's been a lot of steaks on my grill this
Nice.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Cows and dogs are really different animals, so I don't see what the problem is.
Are they? I don't know. I look at my dog and I think, he kind of looks like a cow sometimes.
Yeah, not to the Koreans, Bills. Hey Joe, I just wish if you make a meal like that, man, I'll come over and help you eat it if you can't eat it all.
Sweet. Come on over. Steaks and guacamole. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're well known for our Christmas parties in the base section now. We've had 3 years straight of Christmas parties at Bill's and my place. And last year it reached really fever pitch. We had these inflatable reindeer with targets on them, and you threw these Velcro balls at the targets. But blowing up the reindeers was the best photo opportunity we've had in a long time. And then we had these hats that were reindeer antlers, and you were supposed to toss these inflated rings onto the antlers and try to get them onto people's antlers. So we've had some great Christmas parties, and hopefully we can continue the tradition this year.
I know, right?
If you ever release a solo album, Gloria, you should call it "Blowing Up the Reindeer." I think that would just be either a good band name or an album name. I think Gloria.
Right, that's always the question: band name or album name.
I think it's a better album name, "Blowing Up the Reindeer."
And then and Michael brought kazoos one year, the first year actually. We did Christmas carols, And I have a very wonderful video of us doing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with our kazoos. It was
Oh,
pretty good, actually.
that's awesome. So Michael, what have you been watching on Netflix or any new hobbies you picked up during quarantine?
Um, the stuff I watch is mostly just to put me to sleep, so I don't really, it's hard to follow any series. Um, Hobbies, yeah, I've got a few. I'm composing a lot, obviously. I actually wrote a piece called Binge, for
Yeah.
double string quintet plus percussion. That maybe one of these days, maybe if I'm really good, maybe we'll get to hear it.
You also wrote an English horn and cello duet called Slinkiature, which is pretty
Oh,
great.
Linkiature?
Yeah,
Slinkiature. It's a miniature, but it's slinky.
I wrote duets for you and Barney. I wrote a duet for Joe Petrosic and his wife. Wrote some other, more duets for more people that are quarantined. Wrote Oh geez, I've written so much stuff. Uh, Also practiced bass a lot.
What were you
Worked
practicing?
out a lot of Bach. Worked on the Fifth Suite a lot. A little bit of the Sixth. And went back and relearned some of the Fourth and the Second, and the Third in the new key. Um, and transcribed a lot of bass music. It's going to get published by Jason Heath's publishing company.
Great.
Um, Learned mandolin. Rebuilt
So,
my deck.
there you go.
Um,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I think, I mean, as musicians, we don't do well being idle. So I think that all of
No.
us kind of had
Yeah.
had the things that we
I
did
do,
to keep
I
ourselves.
do a lot of walking. I walked 3 miles every morning with my daughter, and she was home from school, which was so cool. And
Yeah.
not cool for her.
That,
She got out of school early, but that's okay.
right. Well, that
Yeah.
must have been nice to have her home too. I mean, she was at Interlochen up in Michigan for the past what 2 years?
1,200 miles away. So we actually got this phone. Well, it's a big email saying you got to come get your kid. And that was on a Wednesday, March 11th. We played Mahler 1 that night. And the next
Oh my
morning, we were
gosh.
on the road to go get her. And took us 3 days to drive up there. And she had already luckily packed her stuff up for the most part in the dorm. And we spent one more night there. And it actually snowed while we were there a
Oh
little
my
bit.
gosh.
It was pretty cold. And we came back to Atlanta, and the closer we got, the weirder things got. Sorry, I'm getting my second drink. But it got really strange. So I began confiscating toilet paper from every hotel room that we stayed in. It's like sitting in the cabinet, right? So I'm like, okay, my suitcase was half toilet paper by the time we got home. But I was kind of glad I did that because for sure when we got home, there was no toilet paper in the grocery store. And we couldn't use the bathroom in the restaurants. We could use them in gas stations. It was just unbelievable. A lot of trucks. I remember seeing just tons of trucks. And I just really was it felt like kind of a doomsday type future science fiction movie. It was really very strange. I was
Yeah.
glad to get home, and
Yeah.
it was great having her home. And then on the other side, we had my nephew staying with us, and he ended up going into online school, so he went back to Asheville. So it was kind of interesting. We had one come back and one leave, so it
Yeah.
was kind of interesting how all that panned out.
Yeah. Keeps everything interesting for sure. Carl, how about you? What have you been doing? Any Netflix? I heard something about a wrestling show.
Oh, yeah. There's that. Um, I have watched all kinds of stuff. I mean,
Give
of
us your
course.
top. Give us your top three.
Well, in over a period of like 2.5 weeks, I burned through Game of Thrones,
Wow.
and I loved it. I really enjoyed watching it. I had stayed away from it for a long time because um, I knew that if I started it, I wasn't going to want to stop it. But also, do I have the endurance to watch that long of a show? So it was this real conundrum. So I was like, I'm just not going to deal with it. And I finally watched it
Very
and
good.
just went straight through. What else? I mean, I've been going through Man in the High Tower.
That's a good one.
I watched Band of Brothers, the HBO 10-part series on uh, World War II.
You're going through all the classics. Those are all the ones that have been very popular. I've seen them all. I think my husband Barney has watched most of those. I did want to say, I forgot to mention that Angela did mention that she also loves, Angela Leaper loves Schitt's Creek as well.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay, so we are nearing the end of our time here, and my favorite question to ask on these backstage banters is for a favorite funny or embarrassing or ridiculous story of something that's happened on stage, whether it's at a concert or on tour or at an audition. Everyone has a crazy audition story. So I want to start with Michael Kurth, because he's the king of stories, and I'm sure he has something great. But the rest of you be thinking. I'm going to get to you in a minute.
Okay, my audition story. There's two. I guess the one that I'll share is, I was auditioning for the New Jersey Symphony when I was in college, and this audition, like everything that could go wrong went wrong with this audition. This was before anyone had cell phones, so this was I was driving my mom's car across Pennsylvania through New Jersey, and got lost and left the directions at home, and had to call the personnel manager from a phone booth beside a truck stop along the Jersey Turnpike, and it was just,
Oh
I
no.
couldn't hear anything, and made it to New Jersey after hopping over several median strips, because I was in the local lane, in the express lane instead of the local lanes, and pulled into Newark and had my pepper spray out, because Newark was the car theft capital of the world at that point. Found out that the personnel manager had his car stolen the previous week.
Oh God.
Anyway, get to the audition. More stuff goes wrong. The hall is being renovated. They give me a warm-up room without an exterior wall, and it's like June in Newark, and it was 100 degrees. Up 3 flights of stairs. I was a basket case by the time I got on stage. I get on stage, and there's a screen between me and the committee, and they ask for the theme from Mozart 40. So I'm okay, I got it. And right there, my input slips, which for a bass player or a cellist, you know when your input slips, you're an idiot. And the way you hold a bass is sort of dangerous when your end pin slips, because there's the back corner sticks out, and it kind of hits you right in a very, very delicate spot.
Right where it matters.
Yeah. And I shrieked. And there's a proctor who's on stage to help us, because you're not allowed to talk if there's a screen up. And I turned around to the proctor, tears in my eyes, and he's just laughing at me. So that was the worst audition ever.
No, you have to finish the story. I love this story. You have to tell the part where the proctor says, or when you ask the proctor.
No. That's a different audition.
Oh, never mind.
I'll tell this one too, because Carl, this relates to you. I didn't realize you studied with Max. I took the first time they auditioned for Principal Cleveland, I took that audition, and they didn't hire anybody at the first round, including me. But anyway, I walk on stage to play the prelim, and there's no screen, and the music director is there with the committee. And I played, and I botched a couple things, and started it again, and they said, "Thank you very much." And when you're at an audition, they usually keep people grouped into like hour-long segments, and then they'll announce at the end of each hour who advanced to the next round. And so the proctor's walking me off stage, and I said, "So when do they announce who advanced?" He said, "Oh, buddy, you didn't advance." So, yeah, that was that.
No.
Carl, if I had won that audition, you might have been studying with me at Cleveland.
of that.
True.
Yeah.
Uh,
So Joe, how about you? Do you have any funny performance or audition stories you want to tell us?
The one that comes to mind, I mean, there's so many, but like just in like an ASO concerts, like I forget what exactly we were playing, but it was like who's the alto that we play with a lot? It's Jessica Rivera.
Kelly.
Kelly.
No, not Kelly. This was not Kelly. This was
Oh, well, Jessica Rivera is a soprano, but we do play with her a lot.
Jessica Rivera. So the soprano, we were playing a bunch of different short pieces with her, and I forget if it was Donald or Robert conducting, but a bunch of like arias and selections from different larger works with her, and one of them ended with like these two very very soft like pianissimo string chords, like beautiful like string chord like blah, and then there's a grand pause, and then one more blah, like again. And so we got to the concert, and like there's this hillbilly crazy redneck like sitting like in the front row of the stage, and we get to that,
which is like 6 inches from us, like it's very close.
Yeah, and we get to that first pianissimo string chord before the grand pause, before the second one, and after the first one, it's like, bah. And then like all of a sudden you hear from the front row, "Well, that was good." Again, and like I'll never forget like the look on our old principal trombone face, Colin Williams. He just turned and looked at me just like like I thought it was the most hysterical thing ever. He did not think it was funny at all.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man, if I was there, I'd be fired.
That was good.
Well, I mean, that's better than our favorite story about New World from Houston.
Oh, please tell this one.
Well, this isn't even my story, but according to Joe, I heard this from Joe, the Houston Symphony was playing Dvorak's New World Symphony, which, if you don't know, has an enormous English horn solo, and it's like basically how I make a living as I play the solo from the second movement of Dvorak's New World Symphony. And it starts off with this very slow, like brass chorale, very quiet, and then the English horn comes in, da 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 da, and this Houston Symphony was playing this outside in the summer at Miller Theater, for anybody who knows Houston.
Everybody's
like
drinking.
A lawn.
Everybody is drinking.
Everybody on the lawn is drinking. You can bring a basket. You do so like it gets da, 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 and some guy in the lawn is like
boring. That's the greatest story. Probably after they had just played a bunch of Star Wars, like Hoedown and Rodeo, all this like big fat. And then here comes the New World Symphony.
And the English horn player is probably like sweating bullets. Like, all right, it's outside. It's 97 degrees and 97% humidity. Let's see if this works. Boring. That's not my story to tell, though. I just did tell it, so I guess it is my story to tell. But like, it's a fantastic story.
I would have fallen out of my chair. I was laughing so hard. I would have like. I love it when bad things happen that aren't my fault. Like in my favorite, I love it when other people make horribly embarrassing mistakes. I think it's the funniest thing in the world, as long as it's not me. Because if it's me, then I want to.
Oh, come on!
I do. I think it's hysterical.
Hey, Joe.
You remember my Chike 4?
How could I forget?
Do tell, Carl. Tell us about your Chike 4.
Okay. It was like March of 2017.
You remember? It was a Tuesday. It was 67 degrees outside.
It was a Thursday. I know that because it was the first time we performed it. And so it was with Michael Stern.
Oh, I remember that concert. I don't remember what you did, but I do remember that concert.
So in the last movement, for those who don't know the piece who are watching, I don't really feel like trying to sing it, but
it's loud.
Right. So there's bombastic opening, and the strings are really, um, playing our faces off. And then there's a bar rest, and then another almost identical beginning, as what's at the beginning. Um, Different conductors will do that different ways. Sometimes they keep it in time, and it's just a strict 4 beats of rest. And other times they'll do like a grand pause and then go. So he he did the grand pause. He's the grand pause conductor, and I had no problem every single rehearsal. I I was on top of it, and for some reason Thursday night, I just wanted that to be. I wanted it to be in time. I
You
don't know
wanted 4 beats
why.
of rest.
So I laid into that low D
As hard as he
as
could.
hard as I
Loud
possibly
as he
could,
possibly could.
and I was the only one making.
Only one.
I
For,
couldn't
for
look
what seemed like seconds. You know,
I
like,
mean, I mean, just as loud as I possibly. Oh my god! And there was like easily 1 second of just.
Just a solo from the middle of the bass section in the middle.
loud as you can
Frost and dust
loud as
came
you can
up.
possibly go.
That's amazing. That's the thing. Like when things like this happen, I think that the audience, for the most part, probably doesn't realize it, but it's the kind of stuff that gets like burned in our memories for all of eternity. So, Gloria, I'm going to ask you next, but we do have a request from Juan de Gomar for you to tell the Capriccio story.
Oh, okay. That was actually before my time, but it is so famous that
Do
I
tell.
think anybody who's been in the orchestra knows this story. But the orchestra played up in the mountains in Rome. I think they were playing at this auditorium that was kind of small and kind of hometownish, you know. And there was a big storm that happened during the concert, and we were playing Capriccio Espanol, and at the end it's this big, you know, and everybody's playing this loud stuff, right? Well, so we had this guest trombonist with us who was playing along, and all of a sudden the lights went out from this storm, and the orchestra finished the piece without any lights so well. And this trombonist is like, "Oh my God, I lost my eyesight. I've gone blind." He's like yelling.
Oh my god!
It's a really famous. I was so freaked out, you know. But I know another time we finished in the dark, and that was at Phillips Cathedral. We were doing a concert, and I think Bryce Andrews was playing a French horn concerto, and the lights went out. And we finished that piece without any lights. So we're pretty well known for actually being able to
Do you
do
remember? We actually did that with Shostakovich 5 at a children's concert, at an educational concert at Lassiter High School. Do you remember that?
Yes.
We pretty much like finished the first movement of Shostakovich 5 with no lights on.
And everybody was saying, "It's that trombonist, man. He should be here." But anyway, so yeah, I can think of many stories of embarrassment. Just for me personally, embarrassment stories, and Joe knows this one really. It happened just last year. We did our Symphony of a Thousand, and so that involves
Oh, this is great.
horses, the symphony blown out by everything big, brass winds, everybody's bigger on every scale. And I lived literally a 6 minute walk from Symphony Hall, and I was bragging about this to my friends. You know, I get to walk to work. It's so easy. I just roll my bass on the wheels back and forth. Well, that day I had taught a lesson. I had my bass at home, which was very rare for me. Usually I left it at Symphony Hall. So I left for the concert per normal. Didn't think anything about it. Get to work, and I was talking with friends. And about 6 minutes till 8, I'm very relaxed. You know, open my locker, no bass. And meanwhile, the chorus is filing onto the stage, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" And Joe looks at me and goes, "Go get it, go get it."
Get it? Yeah. You said, oh my God, I left my bass. I was like, go get it. Turn around, go get it. You live right across the street.
I said, well, go tell Victoria or whatever, So anyway, I start running back to the apartment. I get the bass. I'm start running back, and I'm on the phone. Okay, I'm coming up to the backstage door, and they literally were like letting me in the backstage and helping me unpack. And I got on stage like they were holding the darn concert for me. And I had
Living on the program though, right? Like that was the
trees of basses to get in there. I think we had an extra bass player on top of everything else. So I was like trying to whittle my way in front of the Morehouse or whoever was sitting behind us. It was the most embarrassing moment of
We started that concert at least 10 minutes late, and like the Symphony of the Thousand, there was at least 2,000, 2,500 people waiting on Gloria Jones. It's just like,
I've had other experiences like one time when Robert Shaw was conducting some Bach cantata. I was going to be doing the rehearsal. Well, Shaw was down to the minute. He had down to the minute in these rehearsals, and I get this phone call at home, and Joe Walthall says, "I'm going to hold up the phone. What's missing here?" And it was me. I wasn't there at the rehearsal. So I'm like racing to work. I go backstage, get my bass. I'm coming out on stage as quiet as I can because the chorus is out there, the soloists and the orchestra in rehearsal, thank God. But anyway, at the time it was Christmas time, and they used to string these Christmas lights from the ceiling down to decorate the stage. And my scroll of my bass caught one of these strings of lights. Quietly tiptoeing on stage, and these lights are trailing behind me with my bass. I'm like, finally I can't go any farther because the bass had caught on the lights. It was so embarrassing. Anyway, I've had a lot of crazy stories. Oh my God. Look, this is my 37th year, and I really think I've probably made about 5 big errors. That's not too bad, actually.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Gloria, every single one of these that I've hosted and done, everybody has had a story like that, if not multiple ones of them. So that's the thing, when we live our lives on stage and we spend so much of our lives in front of 2,000 people, crazy things go wrong. You get the start time wrong, or you're in a rehearsal you're not supposed to be, or all these things happen. But I think that's
there have been times I've laughed so hard on that stage. I really thought I'd get fired. I'm like Carl. They should have just fired me. We played a Mannheim Steamroller concert at Chastain Park, and the Yellowstone Park fires had been taking place, and they did this dedication concert to the fires. And so they warned us. They said, we have these fog machines that are going to like get more intense, and they're going to imitate the smoke, and they had this screen with all the fires and the pictures of it, and our music got more and more intense as it went along. So in the concert, rehearsal, they didn't even use the fog machines. They had just told us about it. So during the concert, we're hearing this little thing of fog starts kind of floating around the bottom of the stage. Well, then it's like, and this fog gets higher and higher. And meanwhile, Ralph and I were up on this riser, and the cellos were beneath us. And so the music got really, really intense, and I am not joking. The cellos disappeared. He disappeared in this cloud of fog, and you could see the hands waving the smoke, trying to get rid of it. To this day, I can barely tell you about it. I'm laughing. But anyway, it was just, I could not play.
That's amazing.
So,
Well, my friends, I think this brings us to our conclusion of Backstage Banter. I very much appreciate you spending your Saturday. What day is it? I don't know.
Saturday.
What days? Saturday. Your Saturday evening with me. Thank you to everyone who's been watching us on Facebook. I have good news. In 2 weeks, on the 24th of this month, we will have another Backstage Banter with the clarinet section. So get yourself prepared for that. We have some characters in our clarinet section, just like we obviously do in our bass section. Thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate seeing you guys and being able to talk I guess it's more than 6 feet away, but it feels a little bit less today. But this has been good to catch up. I really love seeing you guys. Thank you again. Thank you to everyone on Facebook. Have a good night.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.